All right, so good morning again, everybody. I'm just going to pull up my talk today so that we have some good flow going here. And I'm so loving being here with all of you in this incredible expansion that's taking place at this center. And I just love being with all of you here on Sundays and every day. So I have a quick question for all of you. Has anybody had the experience where you have this recurring dream or nightmare and it totally annoys you? Raise your hands. Anybody join me in that? Okay. Some might have a dream where you really didn't graduate from college and you have to go back and take that last class, and then you go for the test and your pencils are missing and you're not wearing pants or something like that, right? Oh my God. So I've been doing stage work at this center for quite a long time as a practitioner, praying up here and now doing this sort of thing. And when I started doing that, I started to have this recurring dream, and it stuck with me. And the dream is this. I come to the center, I am not showered, my hair is a mess, I'm not wearing makeup, and I'm wearing really grungy clothes. That is my recurring dream. And I had it a couple of weeks ago. There it was, and when it comes, it's just like, oh God, that again. And so I had it a couple of weeks ago. It came through, but what was really interesting, this totally new thing happened. When I was in the dream, I totally knew I was in the dream. I had this complete awareness, oh my God, I'm dreaming. I'm wearing the funky clothes, church is starting, and I'm like anxious. And so it felt really real though. And I thought, no, this is a dream, it is not real. And I thought, no, it is real, I am at the center. And so I'm having this in my dream, this total argument in my head. And I finally realized, yes, this is a dream. And so I remembered, okay, I'm having this dream so I can wake myself up. And I said, how do I do that in my dream? And I closed my eyes and I just said, I'm waking up, I'm waking up, I'm waking up. And all of a sudden I was in my bed, relieved I wasn't here with my hair a shambles and no makeup on, and I'm fully embarrassing myself. So I tell you this story because I think that we all are kind of sleeping in life, in some parts of our lives. And as our theme this month is all about awakening, and it's actually the theme of the whole year is awakening. And so as we're going through life, we have many, many awakenings to things that we didn't realize were possible for us, or realities that we weren't aware of. So it's a continual process. And what I find comforting from my dream, that it reminded me that I have the ability to know I'm dreaming and know that what I'm thinking about myself or what I'm accepting as a reality does not have to be accepted. It is just a dream, and I can wake up whenever I want. And I think that's really important for all of us to know, that we can wake up. And what we teach in this teaching is that we have the power to do anything. And as I know with all of you, there are times where we come up through our lives and we don't realize that. We think we're stuck in something, or that this is the way it has to be. I can't change it. But that's just a dream, or maybe a nightmare. And we can wake up and we can change that. And that's what we teach here. And so Gilmore, if you would go to my first slide. So this quote is from Maria Irving, and she says, awakening means you've come home to yourself, that consciousness has shifted back to its original nature. And I love how part of our vision statement is remember who you are, because we already know that. When we had the theme of knowing, we talked a lot about that, how we know everything already, but we fall asleep and we forget. And then we awaken and we remember. And our consciousness shifts to the knowing of who we are. And we're back home inside of ourselves. And that's a beautiful thing. And it's very simple, right? But look what happens when we don't remember that. Life really goes askew. We're unbalanced. We go to a victim consciousness. We don't think that we can make changes. But when we remember who we are and awaken to that, life takes on a whole new meaning, and a whole lot of possibilities now become ours to be able to live into. And so this whole idea of awakening, we've had so many great themes. I love everything that we've had: discover, knowing, empower, daring, passion, question. Wonderful, wonderful themes that we have, but they all totally lead us to one thing, and that's knowing that we are the divine in this form. that we all have the allness of life, the wholeness of life, the ability to do anything. That's what everything we are doing here is reminding us of. Now, as we awaken, I just want you to know this. Awakening isn't a one and done kind of thing, right? You don't do it once and you're finished. There's continual awakenings that we have throughout our lives. And what I have found sometimes when I'm awakening is I rise up and I expand myself and I start to lift up into this field where I'm ready to break into new territory. But something happens. Something stops me. Something stops me, and it's as if I'm looking through a glass ceiling, and I see this beautiful reality for myself, everything that I'm ready to live into, yet I can't quite break into it. And that's why my talk title is Break the Glass Ceiling. I don't know about you, but I'm really tired of glass ceilings. I really am. I'm tired of them in our world. I'm tired of them in my own world. And it's, right? Thank you, yes. And yeah, it's something that it's just part of our reality at this time. I don't like to anchor anything into being something that has to always be. But right now, it seems like there's a lot of glass ceilings that people are going through, that they experience in their lives. And so today, I really want to focus on breaking those glass ceilings that we have in our lives, because it really does limit us into moving into that next expression of who we are, to really wake up and be the allness that we are. And so I like to call that place where we're hovering as being on the verge of. Does anybody feel like you're on the verge of something? You're right on the verge, right? Okay, I get that, right? It's so clear, it's just right there. And I want to share one of my on the verge experiences with you. When I came into this teaching, I so wanted to be a practitioner. I knew it was on my heart to do. But what I knew about myself is that for me to be a practitioner, it was something I really wanted to make big in my life, like maybe do it as a profession or just have a really big client base. And so when I became licensed, I started working with a lot of people and just really growing into it and loving it. And a day came where I really questioned myself and I said, I need to do this in a bigger way now. I need to take it to the next step. And so I put action behind it. I took a class on how to market yourself as a practitioner, somebody who taught spiritual entrepreneurship, and I did that, and I started, selling myself a little bit more. But I still hung out at the glass ceiling, because I worked a 9-to-5 job for a long time. I was in that 9-to-5 world for at least 20 some years. And I was really ready to not be. I really wanted to be creating my own life, doing my own work, my own schedule and all that stuff. But I sat at that ceiling and I knew this reality was there for me. I could just taste it. And I knew it was exciting. I knew it was right there for me. I knew it was everything I wanted to do, but I couldn't break through. And so I had a client of mine that she would, once in a while, she'd like to ask me what's going on with my life. And, I told her how I'm branching out and doing all this stuff to expand myself. And a couple weeks later, when we were having a session, she gave me a very large sum of money. And I'll tell you, I broke through that glass ceiling when she gave me that money, because I realized, and I wasn't looking for a sign, but I just realized this is serious, let's go. And so I opened myself up and I broke through that glass ceiling and I did not look back. And things, as Kathy said, everything worked out perfectly because I did have fear. My mind was saying, you can't do this. You have no plan. How is this going to work? There's no stability in it. I had all that talk, and I know that's what kept me from breaking through. But when somebody said they believe in me, I broke through. It was easy, and I've never looked back. And so it really begs the question that we ask ourselves, what glass ceilings are there that we're really tired of hanging out at and we're ready to go forward? And so, next slide, please. So what does it take to break the glass? What does it take? Because we all can do it. We all have the power to do it. Yet we doubt ourselves. So what I know about breaking glass ceilings is all that old conditioning comes forward. That mind stuff that says you can't and this won't work and you don't know what the outcome is going to be. Because don't we really want to know a guarantee? We want an outcome that we're certain with. But, life doesn't work like that, does it? And so that's why it's so important for us to take the effort to break that glass ceiling. And so it's all about courage. It's all about strength. And what's cool to me that I think is that if we're able to see our new reality, that it's already in us and we're already over on the other side. We're already there. We just have to bring the rest of us with us, and then we break everything open for our life to expand. And I love the song that Michael sang, because it's so beautiful about breaking the glass ceiling, really, because it's telling us, here goes nothing. Really, here goes nothing, because these blocks and these obstacles and these fears are nothing. There's no substance to them. It's just neurotic thinking. It's just something that is blocking us from allowing that divine knower that we know is there and knows everything about us, allowing it to take us through the glass ceiling. And when I was thinking about this morning, I was thinking that the heart, our hearts know everything. If we listen to them more, things would be a lot better for us. Life would be much more fulfilling, and we would really be in a greater state of joy. And so when I was thinking about the heart and breaking through the glass ceiling, I was thinking that the heart's saying, let's go, let's do this. And the mind is saying, you're going to cut yourself. Don't, right? Among other things. And so it's really about listening to the heart and letting it guide us to breaking the glass and being in this whole new expanded state of consciousness. Because what we teach here, right, is that life is not static, and we're continually evolving and expanding ourselves. And as we go through our parts of life, they have their beginning and their end, and then there's something new to go into, and then something else new to go into. And so when we have that in our minds and know that that's reality, we can work with that in a constructive way, break the glass ceilings that hold us back, and continue going on and moving into a territory that is ours to live into because it's in our heart. And you know what? When we realize these things that we want to have in life or just be in life, I don't want to make it all about things, because it isn't. Nothing's about things. We just think it is. It's really about life. It's about life and living life fully. That's what life is about. And that's what saying yes to the heart is about. Life and living it fully, embracing it, enjoying it, and knowing that the key is inside of ourselves to get the direction, to get the motivation, to get the curiosity, the desire, the fire. It's inside of ourselves, to stoke it, to open ourselves up, to give us the energy to break through all of those glass ceilings. Could I get my next slide, please? Okay, so in this world that we live in, it appears to be a lot of material, but it isn't. And Deepak Chopra tells us this: to have a breakthrough, you must consciously connect with the invisible forces that are everywhere around you, urging you to go beyond your old conditioning. And I'd like to add those forces that are you. They are you. They're not just around you. They are you. And it's so important to enlist that invisible energy of who we are. The ideas that are in the energy. We're learning in quantum physics right now in our advanced consciousness class that this energy that is formless is intelligent and it's causative. And when we acknowledge that and recognize that, we are unleashing even greater power into our life building and expansion to give us greater momentum into moving forward. So Chopra is saying when we have to have a breakthrough, we've got to bring all of that energy. You don't have to do it yourself, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You don't have to do it yourself. There's greater intelligence and creativity surrounding you and in you to help you to make this expansion and break through your glass ceilings and your conditioning that's misled you on who you think you are. Just letting go of what mom and dad said if they weren't encouraging you, or your experiences in school. I hear these horrible stories about children who have teachers that tell them they can't do something, and then they turn off their talent when later on in life they found out they did have talent. It was the teacher that just had an issue with them. These stories we hear, that's conditioning. To turn away from that and go to the knowing, the heart, the self that knows exactly what it can do. Next slide, please. So this is a wonderful quote by Amit Goswami. He says, risk-taking is liberating because in a sense, it is the quantum self operating within you. And I know some of you aren't really comfortable with this whole quantum thing that we're talking about. And I want to make it really easy for you to open up to thinking more about it as something that you might see within yourself, because it's just another way of talking about what Ernest Holmes would say is the universal field of life. We just call it quantum now, and there's some science to back it up. And so what we're saying here is risk-taking, breaking through the glass ceiling, is actually very, very freeing to ourselves, because that divine nature that we are, it really isn't all about constriction at all. It does not thrive in constriction. It thrives when we let it loose. And so when we allow ourselves to take these risks to break through the glass ceilings, that quantum self, or the divine self that you are, is actually what is operating by means of you as you. And so it's a great opportunity to really harness in this greater energy that we all are to bring us into greater realities in our life experiences. Which brings me to Hanukkah. Could you... So Hanukkah, yeah, it's Hanukkah. There will not be a wrap this year, forget it. Although I'm singing, that's a whole different thing. But so Hanukkah, the Hanukkah story, Hanukkah does, it ends tomorrow night. And talk about glass ceiling breakers. The Jewish people are totally the epitome of breaking the glass ceiling. For those of you that don't know the Hanukkah story, I will be brief. So in the 2nd century BC, Israel was occupied by the Syrian Greek army, and they were occupying the Holy Temple. And the Jews had to kind of just live with it, because this army was really, really powerful. And they were very hard to fight and hard to conquer. But there was this group of ragtag, rebellious Jews, the Maccabees, very small, but they were strong. And they knew who they were, because they were the chosen people. So they knew they had a power beyond just what appears, that they had the divine power with them, as them, to be able to do anything, including take back their temple and defeat the army, this army that was occupying their territory. So lo and behold, they do it. They break the glass ceiling. This ceiling that was limiting them to seeing themselves as small and not powerful enough to defeat an army. They said, screw it. We're breaking the glass ceiling. We're going to go fight them, because we know we have a power that is huge, that is in us, and we're going to make it happen. And they made it happen. They defeated this huge army, and they took back the temple. And the thing with the lights, I'll tell you, the miracle of the light is that after they took over the temple and got it back, they thought there was only enough oil to burn for one night. And the miracle is it burned for 8 nights. And that's why we have the menorah, and that's what the Hanukkah story is all about. But something that's not ever really emphasized in the Hanukkah story, that's one of my favorite parts of it, is, well, Hanukkah doesn't even mean light. It means to dedicate. Because the Jews rededicated the temple because it was desecrated. They needed to rededicate it. And what I love about the Hanukkah story and how it ties into this awakening is that in our lives, the temple of who we are can get desecrated. And we forget that we are this divine magnificence. We think we're not that. And the Hanukkah story reminds us you are that. You are that divine magnificence. And Hanukkah, to me, is all about rededicating ourselves to that knowing, so that we can clean up our inner temple and open ourselves up to that divine life and light, and live our life in an expansive way, a way where we're totally in tune with possibility, and to be able to create a better life for ourselves. So that glass ceiling that the Jews broke, to me, is really all about coming back into truth of who we are. And my next slide is a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. He says this: "Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path, and leave a trail." Yeah, isn't you like that one? Me too. Anything Emerson writes is really great, I think. To me, this is the bottom line. This is what it's really, really all about, right? As we are all unique, individual beings, divine beings, we all have something different going on, right? We all have different passions. We all have different skills. We all have different desires. And that's what it's all about, being able to express that and be that and say yes to that. I'm really against the factory way of being, everybody conforming. I like nonconformity. And that's what Emerson taught us, is to be nonconformists. And when we're going through life and we're awakening to who we are and we're growing and we're expanding and we're becoming bigger than we've ever been before, and we start to rise up and we see a possible glass ceiling, it's time for us to remember that we're on our own path and we don't follow other paths because we've got something individually that we're doing. So we got to break that glass ceiling so we can be everything that we are here to be, because we're equal to it, first of all. We are equal to it. If we can see it, if we know that's what we are equal to it. And when we're equal to something, the glass ceiling is blown open easily and effortlessly. So my final comment to all of you today is to just take a moment throughout your week and pay attention. Ask yourself, when you're looking to move in a new direction or looking for something that is really coming forward for you to be or do or change, listen to yourself, and are you hearing yourself say, I can't, that won't work, there's no way? If you hear that, you've hit the glass ceiling. And so it's time for you to tell your mind to be quiet and to allow yourself to say, all right, here goes nothing, because all that false belief is nothing, and let your heart break through that glass ceiling so that you can live the life that you are here to live, because it's time. It is time. And I join you today and every day in giving ourselves permission to no longer live in limitation and to live in our expanded self, because that's what we were born to live into. It's ours to be. And so I thank you for listening today, and that ends your lesson. Namaste.